Okay, so here is another way that another method you can use to help fix the binding that you might have on a Kyosho SST gearbox. So if you have a Kyosho Pro X or Pro XRT, or the Nitro versions like the Nitro Rampage Pro or the Rampage Pro Buggy. I made a few videos about this in the past, about little tricks you can play with the input shaft, the bearing on the opposite side, and having like a semi-floating input shaft to take care of binding between this input shaft and the diff gear. But sometimes, depending on the variation in the molding of the gearbox, that might not solve the problem entirely. There could be other sources of bind I seem to have found, because I have a couple of these gearboxes. So another thing you can try is on the output gears. Right? Remember, this is not a stealth gearbox where the diff gear is on the bottom. The SST gearbox has diff gear in the middle, and they have these two output drives on the bottom, kind of like some of the old Losi transmissions. And there is, on one side of the output gear, you have this little shaft here, and that mates into the inside of this output gear. And normally you would put two, I think 4x8 ball bearings in this opening, and then you close it all up. And sometimes putting two bearings in there is a little bit too thick, and it kind of pushes these two apart just a little bit, and you can end up with some binding. So if you take one of these bearings out, so you have a single 4x8 bearing in here, that does help with the binding. Okay, so on this particular gearbox, it kind of sort of helps. But this is another SST gearbox, same exact gearbox, okay? And all I did was take one of those bearings out. So instead of having two in there, I just have one on the bottom there. I didn't do any of the tricks that I had previously reported on with the input shaft. I kept this as stock. And just by taking that bearing out, look at that, it spins nice and free. It's just like perfect, okay? Before I took that out, it was a little bit bindy. It would spin kind of free, and then it would catch at a certain part of the rotation. Now it's just perfectly free, okay? So, yeah, any Pro X or Pro XRT runners, another little trick you can try. Okay, thanks for watching.